Hey guys, nice to see you. Can you shake hands? Shake hands. Atta girl. I like your sign. Hey, how are you, pal? Good to see you.
Nice to meet you.
Nice to see you too.
Nice to meet you.
Nice to see you.
Thank y'all so much for coming. America's actually depending on Iowa to make an informed decision about who ought to be the next president. So you ought to ask him hard questions, and every single candidate who comes to New Hampton, I hope they all will, and you'll get a chance to ask every one of them the questions that are important to you in making the determination about who has the right policies and who has the capacity to lead us. I want you to do that because I have enormous confidence in who that will be. My husband, John Edwards.
Now I'm going to open the floor to questions. You can ask anything you want if you'd raise your hand like this gentleman is doing.
My question is, other than the war, probably the second biggest mess that the Democrats are going to have to clean up is the fiscal mess that Bush has left us in by just borrowing and spending. And so what will we have to do so that our grandchildren have a decent place to live in without this deficit on their shoulders?
I think there's a hard decision that has to be made. If the president's going to be honest with you, I think there's a hard decision that has to be made because we have lots of needs as a nation. So here's what I'm for. I'm for capping the federal deficit, not letting it get worse, for looking for specific ways to reduce it over time. But I think we have to have universal health care. I think we have to transform the way we use energy. I think we have to do a number of things, including help kids go to college, to help lift families out of poverty. I think we're going to have to spend some more money on our public school system. And I think all those things are more important to America being competitive in the 21st century than the elimination of the deficit. And on top of that, I think those things, if they happen, we can get them done, will create a structural foundation for long-term growth of the economy. That growth will effectively reduce the deficit. So it's really a chicken and egg thing. It's a which do you think is more important on the front end? Because you can't do both, not if you're being honest. I mean, you can claim you can do all those things at the same time, but you cannot. You have to find ways to fund health care, et cetera, while you're trying to keep the federal deficit at the level it is now, which means, by the way, you're going to have to do some things like get rid of Bush's tax cuts for rich people. But that's my honest answer to your question. It's a very good question. It's a fair question, and it will be a responsibility of the next president to figure out how to address that.
The next president's going to have to deal with outrageous inflation, a cash economy, and a situation in which we're going to have to start paying back our debt to fund the war. Not to mention all the social issues that we're going to be facing: immigration, health care, social services. How are you going to be able to weather all of that, and what policies can you put into place to get us through that?
If you were to ask me what the most important characteristics are of the next president, they would not be policy driven. I think if we so desperately need a good human being in the White House, somebody that we have confidence in, so that when bad things happen, as they're bound to happen. I mean, it's just the way the world works. You know that this man is trying to do the best he can under the circumstances, and you have confidence in that, even if you don't agree with everything he does. So that's the first thing. And that, by the way, that that evaluation should be made by every one of you, not just of me. You should do it. You should put me to that test, but you should put every candidate to that test. You know, you can listen to these candidates when they come through here. You can tell if they're telling you what you want to hear. You know that. You're smart enough. You've been through this before. I mean, I got asked a very good question about the deficit over here a few minutes ago, and this gentleman's worried about the deficit, and I understand that. But I told him the truth about what I would do as president, and I'll continue to do that. You should put every candidate to a test of honesty and integrity and decency, because it's going to be absolutely crucial in the next president. The second is, we need an integrated vision about what America needs to do going forward. None of these things are in isolation. We tend to come to these town hall meetings and you talk about, all right, what are we going to do about our health care? What are we going to do about the deficit? What are we going to do about gasoline prices? What are we going to do about global warming? What are we going to do to stop spending money in Iraq? The President of the United States must understand that these things don't fit in separate boxes. They are completely connected. They are completely connected and integrated. The $500 billion that we're spending in Iraq, think about what that money could be used for. The gasoline prices have a direct impact on the stability of the American economy. Our addiction to oil makes us extraordinarily vulnerable to leaders, some leaders in the world that we do not want to be vulnerable to.
Start making sacrifices?
Of course we're going to have, I'm glad you said that actually. Yeah, y'all can't hear me said, aren't we going to have to start making sacrifices? Yes. The answer to that is absolutely yes. The president cannot fix all these problems by himself. It can't be done. All of us are going to have to be willing to sacrifice. All of us. There are lots of obvious examples. Conserving is one. But all of us are going to have to take responsibility and sacrifice. And that should have already been asked. That could have been asked after September 11th, and Americans would have responded, and they would have responded patriotically. They haven't been asked, and they will be asked by me, I can tell you that. Yes, sir.